Hi everybody. Yesterday's stream didn't go so well because the audio cut off. So rather than just do a video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another live now. I know there'll be nobody watching this, but it's just a way for me to be able to do this as quick as I can. I didn't really want to shoot and edit a video over Christmas, so we'll do this now. So what I want to do is I want to open Theasys and I want to go to the dashboard. And I've already created a tour here called YouTube Live, but if you want to create a tour of that, and then when we open test 2, what we would do is we would upload panoramas. So we just find our images and drag them into this box and upload them. To save a little bit of time, I've already done that. I didn't change scenes, did I? My mistake, sorry. So let's just go into Theasys and let's just have a look. So what I've done in Theasys is I've just gone back to this page, and what I've done is I've just pressed this and I've uploaded images, and I've uploaded 5 images for us to use within Theasys. And what I want to do is just drag them into order. These are already ordered, but if they weren't, imagine this one was in the wrong place, we would hold our cursor over it and we'd just drag it to the position that we want, and we would do that with each individual panorama. First thing I do would be to drop the editing quality down to medium, and then just go into the project properties and check we've got 5 panoramas. I want to make sure that our smoothness is set and enabled, which gives us like a little bit of bounce when we go left to right. If we turn that off, you'll see it just stops. I prefer that little bit of smoothness. Panoramas auto linking, we're going to come back and do that. We can upload an audio file, which we're going to do. What we're going to do first is go into the Panoramas Properties. This image here is called Welcome. So we're going to put a title in and call it Welcome. And you can do that for every image. You can give them all a name and you can put a description in if you want. Are we happy with the thumbnail? Yes, we are. And the image that we share when we share this virtual tour, or this image, are we happy that that's the one that we're going to use? Yes. Next thing I do is I come down to projection and behavior. And I like to have my projection at about 70 for my zoom in and about 90 for my zoom out. So if I just show you them, so 70 is my zoom in and 90 is my zoom out. And the way we edit them is just drag these sliders along. And that's what I do. So first things first, I've went through and I've set all of them, but I would just go through and I would set each one of them. Then what we want to do is we want to set the default view. So the default view, think of it as the way you would walk through this property. So if you came through this door, which way would you be facing? Well, you would be facing that way. And then we can use this bottom line to square us up against the baseboard or the skirting board. And we can use this line if we've shot our image, which is square, we can set the default view. So what we can do is set the default view and we'll get a little green success. Now, if we aren't level, what we can do is we can click on enhance and we can scroll down a little bit and we can click that on and we can come down and come down and come down. I'm in the wrong place, my mistake. What we can do is we can on the enhancements, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the sharpness ever so slightly on this tour. So that much, that's all I need to do. So then we'll go to the second image, and again, remember what I said, it's as you're walking through that door. So what would the view be? Well, the view would be that. Set as default view. Same with number 3. We've came through there and we're looking this way. We'll set that as default view. Downstairs landing, looking into the living room, and then our cozy living room. So what we've done is we've set the default view. So if we go through them panoramas, now the views are set. So now what we need to do is add some hotspots. So the first thing we need to do is get from this image to the kitchen. And the way we do that is by using an icon. So we click on icon. I'm just going to use Font Awesome, and all I want to do is just type in arrow. That's all I want to do. And it doesn't matter which one of these we use, and you'll see why. But for this, I'm going to use this image here. And I'm just going to put that arrow there. Now we need to tell that arrow what we want it to do. And we'll open this window here, which will ask us for an action. So we can link to Panorama or a website or a video or anything else. If we're going to link to a panorama, the easiest way to do it is to come down and grab the panorama you want to link to and drag that, left click in the mouse and drop it on the hotspot. And then in this preview window up here, you'll see the hotspot. Now at the moment it's set to the default view. The default view might not necessarily be the view we want to show the viewer. So what we can do is keep the left mouse button down and we can set this view to what we want to show. And that's the view I want to show. And you'll see when I do that in this left hand corner, sorry, don't know me left or me right, you'll see saved. So if we go into the next panorama, I'm going to use the same arrow, exactly the same arrow. Again, doesn't matter which one we use, but I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to add the kitchen to there. And what I want to do is show this image back. So it's kind of like we've turned round. Then in kitchen 2, we need to go into this hallway, which will be here. And we'll just do that. And I'm going to show off this little feature wall because I think it's quite nice. And then from here, we are going to go into our cozy living room. Just going to pull that around the left and I'm going to drag the cozy living room in, and the view we want to show is that view. So if we go here, we've got one panorama which is linked with a hotspot, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go to this panorama here and this hotspot. Let's imagine this is in the wrong place. What we can do is right click and move the hotspot. If we want to edit the action, we can add an action by double clicking. So if we double click, we'll get that little window opening up again. What we'll do, we'll add our image back in. We can also see what the action is by pressing the space bar. We can lock the hotspot if we're happy. We can hide it. We can delete it. So this customer also wants their logo putting inside of the kitchen. They want their logo to go here. So all we're going to do is go to custom images and add that image that we want to upload. And it is in my, I think it's on my desktop in the Theasys Live, and it's Church Cottages logo. And we're just going to drag that over to there. Then when we get to, if we're happy with where we have it, if we're not, we can move it by right clicking. And then what we can do is we can change the scale of it. So I'm going to have our hotspot there, and you can see that moves when we go left and right. And what we want to do is link that to an external URL. So this is this company's website. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in and press save. So now we've added a custom icon and we've changed it into a hotspot. We've got a green square around it so we know it's live. We also want to add our nadir in now. So we'll kind of scroll down to where our nadir should be, and then we'll drag our patch over and we'll just pop it wherever we're happy with. And what we can do is we can change the scale again, and we can change it left or right, and we can rotate it on the Z axis. Then we can right click, my mistake, and what I'm going to do is right click and set that as the nadir. You can see it's gone round again. I just need to go back in and rotate the Z axis. And then if I right click again, we can set it for the nadir of all panoramas. We'll just click yes. Now we can do two things again. We can have an external URL. So if the viewer clicks on that, it will take them to your website. Close. So now that becomes a clickable hotspot. So we've set our views, we've set our links. What we need to do now is link our rear facing, our backwards facing panorama hotspots. And the way we do that is panoramas backward auto linking. We come to that and we press process, and it'll tell us that we've created 4. Why only 4? Because we need to get back from the living room, the downstairs landing, the kitchen, and the kitchen. There won't be one to take us outside the property because there isn't an outside. If we go to the kitchen, our return clickable hotspot should be 180 degrees back, which it is. Slightly wrong place, so I'm just going to move it to there. That's more down to me. Again, I'm not particularly bothered about these. I'm just going to put them where I want them to be. I'm going to move that hotspot round, and we do that again. As you saw, I just right clicked and pressed move hotspot, or we can press M and click. I'm just going to line them up and put them there. Then we've got one out of here, which fabulous, is in the right place. So if we go to our return hotspots and we go to our hotspot editor page, and it'll show us that it's this one that we're looking at. Remember what we said, if we double click it, it'll show us the execution. So it's opened up the window that we set our view to. Is that the view we want to show? If so, we just move it and then release, and you'll see it'll say saved. Again, double click. That's what we want to show of the kitchen, so that's fine. We go double click and we want to go that way, and then when we come out the door, we're going to go back to the front door. So we've created our hotspots, we've created everything. What we also want to do is add another image, which will just give a little bit of value. So I'm going to add that to here. I've just uploaded that image. I just want to make that a little bit bigger, because what I want to do is I want to create an info panel. And the way we create an info panel is we just give it a clickable link. I'm just moving that so I'm happy. What we can do is info panel, and it'll open this page. I'm just going to jump back into their website, and I'm just going to click and copy and paste this. And we'll paste that in there and press save. And if we want to add an image, we can add an image. We'll just click on that and we will add an image. I know it's not the right image, but I'm just going to add that one in there now. And save. And close that off. So that's about as much as we want to do at the minute. What we now need to do is customize our panorama. And to do that, we click on the Customize and Preview tab. And what that'll do is that'll open this page, which will allow us to customize it. And this is where we can get creative. So in the Customize, we want to change the font. So we go into Theme Fonts, and we're going to change everything to Georgia. We're going to optimize our panoramas when we load them. On the desktop, we want them to show quality. On tablets and mobile, we want them set to speed, and we can preload. We've got an option of progressively loading, off, or full. Full 1 will load every single panorama. In the background, progressive will load certain panoramas, and off won't do anything until the next button's clicked. I find progressive the best for me because it works really quick. We want to get rid of these hotspot images, so what we can do is we can change them over, and what we're going to do is click floating arrows, and we're going to enable floating arrows, and we're going to change that from default to triangle, and we can change the horizontal where we want them. We can also go in and change the color if we feel the need to, and we would do that by coming in, and we can change it on the icon styling initially. So if we pull the opacity down, you can see we're changing this little part in the middle, but you can also see we can change the shadow opacity when we go over it. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to leave that for you to play with when you feel the need. So now all of our panoramas will have these floating arrows. I'm also going to enable click anywhere. And the reason for that is it means I can just click anywhere in the direction, and it will enable me to just click there, and we'll move forward in our panorama. When you do your floating arrows, ensure you hide link to all panorama hotspots. If you don't, the old hotspots will be there. So by clicking that, it will get rid of them. And you can use these floating arrows. We don't want to put a password protection on here, but what we want to do is we want to autoplay. People ask me about autoplay. Autoplay is kind of that loading screen you get when you see my virtual tours. So that will be this here is a loading screen, or I've disabled autoplay. And the way to do that is autoplay is this. As soon as we load the tour, it goes straight in. But I want to put like a little bit of an introduction. So what I'll do is say no. And this is the one I've uploaded earlier. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of all of this. Give me 1 minute. I will get rid of these. These are still engaged off yesterday. So, right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to drag a cover image up. So we can browse for that file. This is our screen. We're going to just pop that cover image in. So now when the virtual tour loads, we get this image. Yep. Now, do we want to add a logo on the home page, on the loading page? If we didn't have these on, we could press logo and we could update with that logo, which will pop in there. But we've already got it there, so I'm not going to use it. Do we want to put the title of the tour on? So when it loads, it'll tell you that this is our YouTube live. To change that, we'll go in the tour VR editor, back to my virtual tours to here, and we can just put some information in there. So if we copy and paste this, just get rid of that, and then come down and press customize, and then, oh, we didn't save that, did we? My mistake. Let me just go back. Big mistake. If you don't press customize, if you don't press save, it won't save the information that you've just put in there, and I always forget. So let me just get rid of that. Let me just copy that, pop that in there, and then if you scroll down a little bit and press save, my mistake. And then if we refresh that now, we should get our tour title. And we're not. Don't understand why. Because we haven't changed that. My mistake. So we'll change that to Welcome to Church Cottage and press save. And if I try again, This time we should be fine if we press Customizer. So now we've got Welcome to Church Cottage. So if we go to our autoplay, what we can do is we can change that text if we want to. We can go in and we can edit that out. We're going to put the to description on, which will give us this little bit here. We're going to put an overlay on because that'll darken everything down. We're going to put a link to Google Maps in. Where do we get the link to Google Maps? We just go into Google Maps and find the company and copy and paste that in. We're also going to put call a number so people can ring the number by pressing on it, and we're also going to put a link to their website. If we want to change the color of this text, the size of this text or anything at all, we would do that through the styling tab. We can change the opacity of this overlay by scrolling backwards and forwards. We can change the opacity of the play button by scrolling backwards and forwards. We can change the text color if we want to. We can change these icon colors if we want to, and we can change the size of them, and we can change the space between them. So when we load this tour, we want to show a logo up in the top right hand corner. So what we'll do is we'll go into the logo tab, which is the next one down, and we're going to add a logo, and all you're going to do is just, same as we've done before, drag and drop by browsing, find your logo, put a URL in if you want a URL. You can change the opacity and the size. You can see it goes quite small. You can see the opacity can be changed. Then when you're done, press submit. I'm not going to go through starting Panorama because we've already set that. The way that we set that, which I didn't tell you in the beginning, was if we go to our welcome page, you'll see the little red pink flag. That's telling me that's the first displayed panorama. What we do is we right click that and say displays first panorama. Now we want to change the way that we click through. So when we click on the start button and we go in, you'll see there's no transition. So we want to put an on-loading transition, and I want to do that to walkthrough. So now when we click on that, we'll kind of ease in quite nicely. And if we're using that for there, we may as well do the same for our panorama hotspots. We see we get the same action going backwards and forwards as we got. We can also get rid of the preloader. You'll have seen it here. I've mentioned it earlier on. If you want to get rid of it, you can just decrease the size or increase the size, whatever you want to do. If you decrease the size, obviously it'll go away. And if you take the border thickness down and then press submit. So now your preloader won't be there. You'll just go straight into your virtual tour. Somebody asked me about titles and descriptions before. When you click on one of my tours for Church Cottage, you'll see there's an enable audio, which I'm not going to put on. But sometimes you'll get a little pop-up, which will happen when you go into the actual business itself. To do that's really easy. All we do is we go apply. So we go into titles and descriptions, and we just don't want the tour title if we don't want Welcome to Church Cottage, if we don't want the description, and we don't want the Panoramas title. But whatever we do, if we press open by default and just reload the tour, when we come into this property now, we'll get that pop-up which will say Welcome to Church Cottage. Now the reason we've got the welcome at the bottom is because that's the title of the panorama. If we click to get rid of that, it's gone. And then we click anywhere on the page and it's gone. I tend to do that an awful lot in my tours. Now we're going to customize the thumbnails, which is this. I like my thumbnails to have to click to show them. But if you want them, you can have them up all the time. You can show the panorama title when you hover over them, just by clicking that. You can have a sticky on with the panorama title if you want, so it shows all the time, but I don't tend to use that. But what I'm going to do is go into styling, and what we can do, the open and close button, which is this, I'm just going to change the radius of that, and you can see it's made it a little bit rounder. And I'm also going to come down and I'm going to have a look at these are for the arrows if you've got 20 or 30 thumbnails on, which I don't have. But my gallery is here. And what I want to do is change the thumbnail radius a little bit just to make these a little bit rounder. So by doing that, we get these looking just a little bit different. That tends to be all I do. I'm not going to do anything with maps. I'm not going to do anything with hotspots. I'm not going to do anything with zenith and nadir patches because these are all when we go through and we start doing embeds. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow background music to be played. So when we edit the tour in the VR editor, go to general and add a background tour. We'll just add some music into there. It'll process it and go through. Then we go back to where we are and refresh again. When we open this hotspot, when we open this virtual tour, the music should be there. So into customizer. Are we showing the option? Yes. Are we showing a pop-up? Yes. And then are we going to force it for every panorama? Yes, that way we'll have music on every single panorama. So if we click and play in, we'll get a little pop-up that says enable audio. So we click that off, click yes, and we've got audio playing in the background. If we want to turn it off, we just go into sounds and turn it off. And the last thing I'm going to show you, excuse me, well, there's two things. One is share. If we right click and we press share, at the moment we can share this to Facebook, Messenger, Twitter and Reddit. My work doesn't tend to be shown on Reddit, so by doing the share menu, I can turn Reddit off, but I do get people sharing my stuff on LinkedIn and WhatsApp. So just by clicking them, it'll automatically give the customer a link to go straight into. And last but no means least, I want to come down to the context menu. And the context menu and the credit menu are the two I want to go through. Excuse me. The Theasys logo is turned off. You can see this little logo here. I tend to leave mine on. And the context menu, if you right click, is about Theasys. We can change that just by typing in what we want. Only if I can spell properly. Then press submit and you can see it's changed that in real time. And if we click on that, that'll take us to the Theasys page. If we don't want to go to the Theasys page, we can just change that to whatever we want. But only again if I can spell. Unfortunately, my mistake, and press submit. Now if we press that, it'll take us to google.com. The context menu is this. We can edit this and change the color of it, none of which I'm going to do now. And then we have a consent form. If you've got the free version, you won't have cookies consent, but you can load a cookie consent form, which will come up that allows people to tick. So that's our virtual tour built. What are we going to do with it? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to tour options here. And then if we go into use it, we can send the customer that link, which will take them straight into that virtual tour straight away. And we can also send them an embed code if we want to. We can have it responsive or we can put it to a custom size. If we go back to this website for this business, you'll see that their virtual tour is there. The beauty of Theasys is when you leave it to responsive, it tends to fit the virtual tour to the website automatically. And I tend to use JavaScript rather than iframe. And all I would do is copy and paste that over. We're not going to talk about downloads at the minute. We've gone through customize, we've gone through preview. I'm not even going to go through options because there's just no need for us to go through it at the minute. But we can say that our virtual tour is published. So we're welcome to share that now to everybody who would be interested. And that's how to do a virtual tour in real time using Theasys. It wasn't as scary as I hope you thought. I'm looking at the time, it took us 30 minutes to build that tour of 5 panoramas. So you can see how quickly we can get things done. I hope that worked out for you. If it has, fabulous. Keep smiling. And I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.